What happened this weekend? What lies ahead? Analysis and insight from the inside. This is Big Orange. Rewind.
Presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's is the perfect place to rewind after every Tennessee game.
This is Big Orange Rewind. With the voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, and VolQuest.com's Brent Hubbs.
Glad to have you with us. Excited to do this program tonight because there is so much to talk about, so much that we would like to discuss with you at 865-657-1278, 865-657-1278. When we were in this very space 1 week ago, Brent Hubbs, we were wondering who Tennessee might hire as the next defensive coordinator. We kind of wondered how those sorts of things would end up going down. I guess overall we were kind of in a position that we thought, okay, would they make a change? They did make a change. Then who would it be? The week played out very fast. A lot happened between last week and this week in that space. And Jim Knowles is going to start at the University of Tennessee on Monday as the defensive coordinator. Was it shocking, surprising? How did you kind of rate that development?
I would say surprising at the speed of it and how quickly it went. Clearly, Josh Heupel had a plan and knew exactly where he wanted to go, what direction he was going to try to go. And I think when he realized he had a real shot to get that direction, then he decided to make the move and go. Had some people tell me on Monday after the Tim Banks news became official that Josh Heupel was down the road with someone, that he was trying to get somebody across the finish line, essentially, that it was going to be a quick search if the person he wanted agreed to the job. And clearly the person he wanted was Jim Knowles, and he agreed to it. So it was essentially publicly, it was about a 48-hour search. Privately, it was probably a couple of days longer than that, but not much longer than that. I think it got done last weekend. I think while we were doing this show last Sunday night, I think work was being done on the other end of the building to get things to the finish line. So surprised at the timing of it. Am I surprised that Jim Knowles is the defensive coordinator? Yeah, I mean, you knew he was going to be available, but there was no tie there.
Well,
so it's like,
but did you? Because you thought maybe Matt Campbell would, keep this guy who'd been so successful?
Well, I mean, he certainly had the opportunity. I mean, I think Penn State made it clear to him that, hey, we're paying him a lot of money. If you want to keep him, you're more welcome to keep him. But I think Matt Campbell clearly wanted to bring his own people in there. But, yeah, to your point, yeah, you certainly wondered. But you sort of felt like, Matt Campbell was going to go and do his own thing at that point. But you didn't know for sure. But, Jim Knowles was not going to go to Virginia Tech because Brent Pry was going back, which is an unusual setup for them there. And so if he was not retained, he was going to be available, but there was no tie. And what you look for in a lot of these situations is, who does the head coach know? Who would make sense? Where would their paths have crossed? Did they work together? Do they have a common friend that worked together? Agents helping each other, put somebody in terms of putting them at the table in front of each other. And you just had a hard time finding that with Jim Knowles, and that's why Ryan Walters' name was so prevalent on Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning by a lot of people, because there was a tie. I mean, they knew each other because Ryan Walters was at Missouri when Josh Heupel was at Missouri. Okay, here we go. There's where everybody runs with that because that's the one guy you could find that had a tie. Jim Knowles didn't have a tie. So could they get there? Why would they get there? Who would put them in kind of conversations with each other? But they certainly did, and it went very quickly.
Is the tie that we didn't know about David Cutcliffe?
That's a great question. And we certainly know that David Cutcliffe and Jim Knowles know each other well because they worked together twice. They were together at Ole Miss, and then they were together for a lengthy period of time at Duke. I don't know. Did Josh Heupel call David Cutcliffe about Jim Knowles to see what he was like? Or maybe I could see that. I don't know. knowing David Cutcliffe the way I do, and I think the way you know David Cutcliffe, I don't know that David Cutcliffe picked up the phone and said, hey, coach, I got a guy. I know a guy that would be interested in the job. That doesn't feel like kind of a David Cutcliffe move in this situation. But certainly there's someone that Josh Heupel has visited with before and knows a little bit. And obviously David Cutcliffe knows Jim Knowles really well.
Jim Knowles is going to be around for bowl practice. He will not be the defensive coordinator for the bowl game. That will be linebacker coach William Inge. So what do you expect that Jim Knowles will be doing as the Vols get prepared to play Illinois and Nashville on December 30th?
Well, I think that his first priority will be to have conversations with individual staff guys on the defensive staff. And because he's trying to put his defensive staff together for the future. Who all does that include? Does that include people that are currently here? Does that include people that are not here? Does he have some people he wants to bring? He did not take anybody with him other than 2 analysts when he left Ohio State to go to Penn State. He's not been a guy who's sort of traveled a bunch of people with him to their next job. He's kind of just gone and an analyst here or there, that type of thing. So I think everybody here will have an opportunity to spend some time with Jim Knowles, and he'll try to get to know them, and he can make decisions from there. And then I think Jim Knowles on the practice field probably sets up high, kind of stays out of the way, and is just observing practice habits, observing roster, talent level, areas where somebody he thinks might fit his system well. He knows a good number of the players on this roster because he was a part of the recruiting of them. I mean, Edwin Spillman, for example, Tennessee and Ohio State were 2 finalists. Jim Knowles was recruiting him to Ohio State. He knows all about Edwin Spillman's talent level and who Edwin Spillman is. There are some other players on this roster that he was involved in recruiting, Marion Dye and some people like that, that he's pretty well versed in. There's some others that he doesn't know, and so he wants to watch them, I'm sure, observe and see what he had, what kind of deck he's got to work with here, and then where they need to go find some people in the portal to help him.
First question comes from Kevin in Columbia. We love Kevin in Columbia. I keep hearing how Tennessee fans should be patient with a Jim Knowles defense because it takes 1 to 2 years to really implement. Can that be countered with adding mature players in the transfer portal? Thank you, Kevin.
Well, I think there's 2 things. It's a good question. I think one, yes, the transfer portal, the mental maturity of someone out of the transfer portal is significant. We saw that with Joey Aguilar. We saw that with Colton Hood. We've seen that with other transfers that come in and can make a quick impact and seem to pick up things fast. Do they pick it up, faster than – yeah, they pick it up faster than a high school person because it's a very different game for them. I mean, Joey Aguilar is going to be further along than a high school quarterback is coming out of high school because he's seen things. Same with Colton Hood. For example, even a guy like Braylon Staley, who didn't play a whole lot last year, had to learn some of the route running stuff and perfect that. Ty Redmond talked late in the year, Mike, about how he was starting to get a feel for what receivers are doing to him. Okay, well, if you're a transfer guy, you should know a lot of those things already. So I think, yes, to answer his question, transfers can help. But here's the other thing that's interesting is you have so many more opportunities now as a coach to be around your players and to do football things with your players. So the month of February is a dead recruiting month. That is a football month. That's why all these coaches want the portal window. How many coaches have you seen a quote from say, I need to know who my roster is by February 1st? Well, why February 1st? Because you spend the whole month of February putting your system in. You do installs. You do all your installs in February before you get to the spring practice field. And then you go back to spring practice and you polish up your installs. And then you get to the summertime and you redo installs and you get on the practice field with them. Now, you can't go 11 on 11, okay? Defensive guys can't hit sleds. You can't do some of those things, but you can get them out there and do walkthroughs, which become accelerated walkthroughs, which become running walkthroughs, which is an on-air practice, so to speak, for both sides of the ball. So you have opportunities for guys to go through the process of learning your system on 3 separate occasions before you ever get to fall camp. and then you do it again in fall camp. So that's 4 opportunities to learn the system, which is different than what we've seen 4 or 5 years ago, and it's vastly different than what you saw 10, 12 years ago. It was a big deal here when Monty Kiffin was here, the late Monty Kiffin. He video tutorialed his defense, and they burned them all on a DVD, and they handed them to the players and said, hey, in your free time, watch this. And it was him at a blackboard installing his defense, essentially, in the summertime, because he couldn't have meetings with them. He couldn't get hands-on with them. Now you can do that as position coaches. You can get your hands on them. You can get them out on the practice field. You can do it as a collective group of 11 guys. That should accelerate the process faster than it used to be. And I would say Jim Knowles is also adapting what he has to do too, right? I mean, he doesn't need to wait 2 years and 3 years for those things. Should your defense or your offense get better year over year as you stay in the same system and as you, yeah, sure, you should. Your numbers should improve from year 1 to year 2. That's natural, but you should be plenty competent to execute your system in year 1.
Some people had been somewhat concerned about Knowles coming in, and it really probably would have been anybody coming in, based on the fact that that defensive coach has to adapt to a Tennessee offense that is almost never going to win time of possession. Should Tennessee fans feel better about Knowles because he was at Oklahoma State with Mike Gundy for 4 years because he went to Ohio State?
I think you feel better about Knowles, or I do, because he has been in multiple leagues, not just Oklahoma State, but it's Duke, where you played against some fast-paced offenses. The Big 12, there was a little defense played in that league.
Did they play defense?
Yeah, it was all a shootout type stuff. And then he transitions into the Big 10, where it's low scoring and it's all defense. And so I think, again, his resume and his maturity as a coach is something that had to have resonated with Josh Heupel. I think when you look at it about, hey, he can adapt to whatever we're doing here. And here's the other thing, too. This is what Josh Heupel's doing on offense. There's a lot of people doing this on offense. So there are a lot of defensive coordinators that are playing games where time of possessions, they're never going to win time of possession. It's not the anomaly that it once was. And so I think as a coach, you know, you contact all your buddies and you talk around all your buddies, and what used to really bother you probably is like, yeah, it's just the way the game's played right now. You just kind of, you know, you kind of deal with it. The same way in the NFL, it used to be, 40 seconds left in the half, an offense would just kind of run out the clock and go to the locker room. And now 40 seconds feels like you can score 3 touchdowns in 40 seconds with the way the league goes right now. So I think the game has evolved and changed, and I think that's one thing about Jim Knowles is he has evolved and changed with it as well.
David in Lake Oconee, Georgia, have we lost any meaningful players to the portal so far, and when does the portal close? Thanks. I mean, meaningful is probably not the best word.
Well, remember this, and this is a bit semantics here. The portal doesn't officially open to January 2nd. So you can have players say, my intentions are to enter the portal, and they may never go in the portal because if they're looking for a better deal, they might get the deal at the place that they're at, and it ends up they decide to stay, or maybe what they thought was going to be for them out there in the market's not out there, that type of thing. So of the players who have announced their intentions to go into the portal, I think your definition of meaningful is, they haven't lost a starter. They haven't lost anybody that finished a year. They haven't lost anybody that finished a year into 2 deep. So if that's your definition of meaningful, then the answer at this point of people who have said that they're going to go into portal, no, you haven't lost, quote, meaningful.
But it is literally don't touch that dial.
Oh.
Because it won't close until a little over a month from now.
Correct. And anything can happen between now and then. Because remember this, you're trying to retain what you have, and you're trying to get it done as fast as you can get things done. Agents are out there working it, and you've got literally how many new coaches in this league as head coaches who all need help.
And You have coaches that come in like Jim Knowles who may say, player A really fits me, player B not so much.
Yeah, and player B might have played a lot of snaps previously.
Right.
I mean, so I think that don't touch the dial is the best way to say it, because this thing is completely fluid. I mean, at VolQuest, we always have a bunch of stories pre-written about a guy going in the portal, because there's rumblings that they go in the portal. And I would say of the ones pre-written, I would say over half of them never see the light of day. They never get published, because there's all this talk that they might leave, and then they end up getting a deal, or they end up saying, hey, you know what, I really don't want to leave. Or, hey, the grass is not greener out there. Maybe I can't get a better deal out there somewhere else, and they end up staying.
Or the school they were thinking about going to picks up somebody else, and now they don't have as much money to offer or the spot to offer that they thought they had.
Absolutely. And at some point in time, too, there's always some guys who say, you know what, agent, I appreciate all that, but I like it here. I don't think I want to move. So there will be more movement, and there may be movement of significant players before, important players before it's all said and done. We've certainly seen that. We'll just see what happens over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Big Orange Rewind is on the air. We're taking your questions via text at 865-657-1278, 865-657-1278. Big Orange Rewind is presented by Calhoun's, a proud sponsor of the Vols.
Big Orange Rewind.
Sponsored by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. Complete coverage for every phase of life.
By the natural gas utilities and pipeline companies in Tennessee.
Natural gas.
Pilot, the official travel stop of the Vols. See you out here. RJV Kubota, with 2 convenient locations in Knoxville and Nashville. And by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer, proud sponsor of the Tennessee Volunteers.
An ice cold Coca-Cola is perfect, but a free Coca-Cola from Sonic with endless flavors and add-ins like cherry, jalapeno, or lime, perfect just got perfecter. Whether you're into cherry vanilla with sweet cream, strawberry, jalapeno, or green apple and bourbon caramel, Sonic has the perfect Coca-Cola for you. Create a Coke your way, any size, any flavor. Free for a limited time, only in the Sonic app. Live free, eat Sonic. Limited time offer, see app for details.
If you want to live free, yeah.
Welcome back to the Ford F-150 Truck Highlight Show.
We saw an outstanding performance today, Mike.
It wasn't just a performance, Gabe. F-150 sent a message.
Towing, payload, technology. It was one highlight after another.
Absolutely. It's game on with Ford F-150. For the latest offers on the best-selling full-size truck in Tennessee, see your local Ford dealer today. Go Vols!
Based on S&P Global Mobility total U.S. new vehicle registrations for the standard full-size pickup segment, retail year-to-date April 2025.
There are big banks with large capital resources, and there are small banks that go above and beyond. And there's a bank in Tennessee that offers both. You guessed it, First Horizon. They're big enough to offer tailored solutions to help retail and business customers, but small enough to maintain that personal touch. No opportunity is too big. No detail is too small. First Horizon, big bank muscle, small bank hustle, and the official bank of the Vols.
Rackley Roofing is now the official roofer of the Vols. And Rackley is more than a roofing company. They're part of the communities where they work and live, investing in neighborhoods and opening doors to a career in an industry that's growing year after year. Rackley Roofing's mission is clear. Transform the roofing industry with unmatched customer service, detailed documentation, and the highest safety standards. Because Rackley believes the ladder to a great roof is only as good as the people who climb it. Rackley Roofing. Building roofs, building future.
Presented by Calhoun's. This is Big Orange Rewind.
Fred Hubbs and I talking before the last break about Vols who had at least declared their intention to enter the portal. The portal is officially open January 2nd and stays open until January 16th. So nothing's official, but who are some of the guys who have gone ahead and declared?
Well, there are 4 guys who have publicly stated their planned intentions to enter the transfer portal, and that is freshman linebacker Brendan Ains, defensive tackle Jamal Wallace, defensive end Kellen Lindstrom, and defensive back Marcus Gorey Jr. Those 4 have publicly stated their intention and their plan is to go into the transfer portal when it opens. Now, here's the crazy thing that's out there right now that I don't understand how this is working. The portal doesn't open until January the 2nd, yet there's a cornerback who was at Oklahoma State who has announced and has a graphic that says he's transferring and he's committed to Southern Cal.
Okay.
I'm not real sure how you do that because he's not supposed to have any conversation with Southern Cal until the portal window opens. So I don't know, in this world of we're not supposed to tamper, I'm not saying third parties, but generally people don't declare where they're going before they're allowed to go into the portal to say I'm leaving officially and can go somewhere officially. So
feels like, I'm not an expert in this. That feels like a bad move.
I don't understand why you would put the graphic out, but hey, obviously there's no policing of things. Maybe he's a grad transfer, but it's really interesting to see someone announce their landing spot at this point. It's not unusual to see someone announce that they're leaving at this point, but the landing spot, you don't see that until the portal opens. But again, for Tennessee, those 4 players have publicly declared they're going to enter the portal.
Chris Brazzell, turning pro.
Yes.
Got his degree, by the way.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Congratulations to Chris. That's a big meant the world to him. Getting his degree was a big deal. He walked the stage on Friday, which was really cool to see. Had a really nice second year in this system. 1,000-yard receiver, getting 1,000 yards was big for him. But he has declared for the draft and will not play in the bowl game. So he is an official opt-out.
Okay, so he's out. Arion Carter has said he is turning professional.
Yep, he's going to go to the going pro. He's declaring for the draft is what he's going to do. He will not play in the bowl game as well. So those 2 we know of for sure. Colton Hood put out some Twitter highlights yesterday that some people took to mean he was suggesting that he might be returning. He has clarified that today on social media or on X and said, look, those were year 3 highlights. I put my year 3 highlights out there. He has not, and said he has not yet made a final decision on whether or not he is going to go pro or not. He has been working out with the team during finals. They've had some weight room workouts and some different things like that. He has been a part of that. He has not made a decision. I think he will probably be making a decision as early as this week on what he's going to do. But at this point in time, he has not said anything officially, and Jermod McCoy has declared officially.
He has declared officially, and certainly some of the mock drafts have had nice things to think about the Tennessee corners, which leads a lot of people to think not only is it McCoy, but is it Hood, but nothing official.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, if you take off your orange-tinted glasses and you look at it, it's a pretty good year to be a corner coming out in the draft because it doesn't feel like this is the deepest draft at the cornerback position. So if you're a talented corner, your stock's going to be high and stay high. McCoy's stock has been high since the end of last year, and it's really not fallen at all throughout the year, even though he has not played. And I'm not knocking Jermod McCoy, but a lot of times if you don't play, some people jump ahead of you in the mocks and those types of things. It doesn't feel like this is the deepest defensive back draft that we've seen the last few years.
So we'll see. We will certainly know more this week because the Vols are back on the practice field for real this week, and they will work for the next week before they break for Christmas, and then they will start back to work on December 26th in Nashville.
Yes, and that'll be a regular game week when they get there on the 26th. The game's on the 30th, so you will treat that as a regular game week preparation, your sort of Monday through Friday deal to get ready to play the game. So what's interesting is how limited the bowl prep has become in a lot of ways. They had final exams last week. They did some things, but for years it was like, it's a second spring practice. It's really 1 week, in town, and then it's a week at the bowl site. And so it's not this old school, okay, December the 4th, you're going to the practice field and you're going to practice from the 4th to the 23rd in town and beat each other to submission and then go do a game.
Well, and what we used to see when we covered bowl practices back in the day is they would practice the starters for an hour, hour 15, cut them loose, and then the young guys would scrimmage, would run, drills, whatever, for another hour, hour and 15. And that's the way every day worked until you got to the bowl site when they would kind of turn back on the game prep at that point.
Yeah, I think it's harder to do that because you're playing a lot of young players when you look at it. They will still do some young player development or some non-starter development on the back end of practice to close things out. But you just don't have that length of time that you had previously, just because I guess the wear and tear of the season and just the way kind of everybody structures bowl stuff, you just don't do as many hard practice days as you did.
And then to summarize, the bowl game does not count against a player's potential eligibility towards taking a red shirt. The clock does not turn on, meaning a fifth game in the bowl game doesn't count. They can play.
They can play, and it does not count. And so you can have someone, and it's a good rule, okay?
Sure it is.
And because what you were having happen was you were having some people opt out, so somebody goes up the depth chart, and you're sitting there looking, well, we're going to be really limited in the number of guys we could rotate at defensive line or wherever the position might be because we don't want to burn Johnny's redshirt year for a bowl game. And so now we're going to play somebody 70 snaps in a game or something like that, and it just didn't make any sense to do that. And so it's a good rule that these guys can play in this game, and it doesn't count against your number. So if you've played in 4 games or less at the end of the regular season, you're still, and you have not redshirted previously, you're still eligible to redshirt, and then you can go play in the bowl game, playoff game, or whatever you need to be.
All right. For Illinois, it looks like their announced transfer portal guys are similar to Tennessee so far. Their announced guys who are going on to the next level potentially are certainly significant. Matthew Bailey, their leading tackler, is safety, is having surgery, and he's not going to be able to play. Really good player in the secondary, but he's decided to go pro anyway. Their left tackle, J.C. Davis, is going to go pro and is not going to play. And then the one that jumps out the most is Gabe Ackus. And Gabe Ackus is an outside linebacker, a rush end, whatever.
Leo, essentially.
11 sacks. Mm-hmm. Number 2 sacker in Illinois history behind Simeon Rice. Now, Simeon Rice was another level. He had 44.5 sacks. This guy, 11 sacks this year, 27 in his career. They only had, as a team, 27 sacks, and this guy, Ackus, had 11 of them. And so him not playing is quite significant.
It is, and Tennessee fans are certainly well aware of Gabe. Tennessee tried like crazy to get Gabe. He visited here officially. In fact, I think he visited officially the same weekend Jared Verse visited officially here. So to tell you kind of where they are age-wise. And he was a guy that everybody believed could really be a legitimate edge pass rusher, whatever level he went to. And he has certainly been that. He has developed well. He was a pretty raw player coming out of high school. But he has really developed into a nice player. Wrestled in the state of Florida, knows how to use his hands well. He's going to be liked by the NFL. He's not necessarily going to be, day one or first 10 pick or anything like that. But the league's going to like him. He will find a place in the league because he's been productive there and he's gotten better throughout his career. So I don't know that he's hit his ceiling at this point either.
It's like corner. I mean, you can't just have 1 or 2 of them.
No.
I mean, you're looking to every year in the draft. Wide receiver's another one. Wide receiver, corner, and edge pass rusher. You want to add 1 or 2 every year. So a corner is always going to go higher than maybe he should. An edge rusher is generally going to go higher. In a lot of cases, a receiver, there are always a lot of receivers, so maybe they don't get selected as highly, but they will get picked rather than be undrafted because people always want to have them. And who knows? The third-round guy becomes one of the best pass rushers of all time, or a sixth-round guy becomes Puka Nacua at wide receiver for the Rams. And so, Akers is one of those players you're going to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, he's a guy who's put on good weight. He's gotten a lot stronger, and he's a good player. And that's one Tennessee swung hard on at the end. He kind of popped up on the scene late out of Florida, and to Illinois' credit, they had been on him the longest. And I think his comfort level with them, while some people came in sort of late to try to get there, I think the fact that he had a long-standing relationship with them is why he ended up going there. And I think his brother played there or went to school there. There was a tie with his brother, not with that coaching staff, but with the school, and he ended up going there. Good player.
Tennessee and Tennessee fans certainly not brokenhearted that he's decided, move on, young fella. Best of luck.
I don't know that Glenn. I'd say Glenn Ellerby's not real. I mean,
Josh Heupel.
You're probably sending him some chocolates. Hey, big fella.
Joey Halsley. They're all like, have a nice day.
Enjoy the Senior Bowl or wherever you're going.
Wherever
next.
you're going. Due to a limited allotment of tickets directly to the school from the bowl, Tennessee Athletics encourages fans to visit the Liberty Mutual Music City Bowl website to purchase tickets to the game on Tuesday, December 30th at 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. The website is musiccitybowl.com. You can find all the information about the bowl on the website and purchase tickets now from musiccitybowl.com. For reference, Tennessee's sections will be on the east side, so if you're looking for your tickets, grab those east side tickets so you can be so you can join the rest of your fellow volunteers. Tennessee sections 113 through 115 and 214 through 216. And the University of Tennessee Alumni Association will have an official tailgate party in downtown Nashville prior to the bowl game with Illinois. The Rocky Top on the Road tailgate will be from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Central. Check out all of the details at alumni.utk.edu/athletics. We're making you work hard for it. alumni.utk.edu/athletics. More of your questions when we return via the text line at 865-657-1278. Big Orange Rewind is presented by Calhoun's.
Tennessee pride runs deep from Neyland Stadium to the family farm. At Farm Credit Mid-America, we stand behind the Tennessee farmers who feed and fuel our nation, just like we cheer for the Vols on game day. Because we understand that whether you farm every day, only on the weekends, or simply enjoy time on property outside of town, we have loans to fit your needs. Because farming matters, and so does every play, every harvest, every heartbeat of Tennessee. Learn how Farm Credit Mid-America serves the great state of Tennessee at fcma.com. Loan subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply. Farm Credit Mid-America is an equal opportunity lender.
Tennessee fans, your game day isn't complete without Calhoun's. Whether you're inside Neyland Stadium for the game or tailgating on campus or at home, Calhoun's has you covered with shareable small bites, family feed packs, and party platters. Imagine your tailgate piled high with hickory smoked ribs, tender pulled pork, and that famous barbecue chicken. The best of Tennessee on one plate. Call ahead or order online and make your game day legendary. Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee.
UT fans know it takes teamwork to win. And when you choose Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, you get a team who served Tennesseans for 80 years. From babies to seniors, big needs to small, we offer health coverage that fits your life and your budget. All from a company right here in your community. Now that's what we call a big win. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee.
Hey, Vol Nation, it's Coach Barnes, here to remind you why Pilot is the official travel partner of Tennessee Athletics. Every season is a journey, building on what's in the rear view while keeping your eyes on the road ahead. The folks at Pilot know all about that. They're out here to help you make the most of every mile. Just like things were always better in that Tennessee orange, Every journey's better with a stop at Pilot. See you out here.
A look back and what's next. Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's.
To the text line at 865-657-1278. James from Cleveland. Why isn't Bobby Majors in the College Football Hall of Fame? He was an All-American. That's true. Which is one of the criteria. You have to have been an All-America selection to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. I mentioned the other day in some discussions that we had on the Mike Keith Show, which is done on the Tennessee Athletics YouTube channel from 3 to 5 on Thursdays, that's Eastern time, that one of my favorite players, Stanley Morgan, is not in the College Football Hall of Fame because he was not an All-America selection at Tennessee, largely due to the fact that because they didn't have any speed at running back, they moved him from wide receiver to running back.
Yeah, I mean, because when he played in the National Football League, everybody was kind of like, where did this guy come from? But, you go back and look, it's like, well, he was really productive at Tennessee. It just wasn't at wide receiver.
Well, he was productive at wide receiver.
Until they had to move him.
Until they moved him because they just didn't – they had no threats on offense.
Yeah, so what do you think the reasoning is for Bobby Majors?
I looked into it. Bobby Majors was on the ballot, did not get enough votes, and now he's been moved to the Veterans Committee. I think he certainly deserves to be in for his number of interceptions, his number of touchdowns scored, his punt return ability. It would feel like this is one that just fell through the cracks that people didn't delve into seriously enough because, I mean, he was a great college football player at Tennessee and part of a secondary from 1967 through 71, 72. They were fantastic. Of course, the 70 team, known as Bennett's Bandits, 36 interceptions. I mean, Tim Priest still holds Tennessee's record for interceptions in a career at 18 after 50 years.
Yep.
And I don't think anybody's ever going to break that because, first of all, how they pass today with all the short passing, you don't get as many cracks at interceptions as you once did. The other part of it, too, is if I go out my third year and I intercept 7 or 8 passes,
see ya.
I'm going to the league.
I'm gone.
Right. But remember, Tim Priest did that in only 3 years because at the time that he played, freshmen were not eligible.
Yeah. Tim Priest was a terrific football
player. Oh, gosh.
Terrific football player.
They had a bunch in that period of time.
Yeah.
Bobby Majors was incredibly special.
Oh, yeah.
Punted. There wasn't – he returned kickoffs, returned punts, played safety, certainly could have played offense if needed.
Well, what's interesting, Tim Priest is one of the most humbled human beings you're ever going to meet anyway, but he would always tell you, like, I was the beneficiary because Bobby Majors.
Well, yeah, he was really good too.
I know, but he was like, we were good, but Bobby Majors was such a catalyst that it gave everybody opportunities because of who he was as a player.
If you speak to members of the Majors family, they felt like Bobby Majors was the best athlete of all of the Majors brothers, which was saying something.
Yes, sir.
And because, I mean, John Majors, of course, was runner-up for the Heisman Trophy. Bill Majors was not near the offensive player that John Majors was, but he was a great defensive player, The other two brothers played as well, and then you get to Bobby, and, I mean, he could do it all. James from Cleveland, great question. Stephen from Virginia, instead of doing bowl games at the end of the season, why not play them in August and make them exhibition games?
You got to fix the calendar somehow. I don't know that that's the way you go, but you got, to me, and I wrote this yesterday, the fact that yesterday occurred, and I don't want to take anything from Army-Navy, okay? Because I think
this is about you whining about not having football.
Yes, this is exactly me whining about. Why was there not playoff games yesterday?
It's 100% correct.
You're not competing with the National Football League that weekend. Why are you not playing? Why are you not carrying the momentum of the season into that? From a TV standpoint, from a fan interest standpoint,
You're right.
It makes zero sense to me. Now, to his question about the bowl games, my question about bowl games is how long are corporate sponsors going to stay in the bowl world and pay the money that they're paying for corporate sponsorships when the perceived value of the bowl game continues to drop?
Fair question.
And when that happens, that changes the landscape of your bowl games. You know, the LA Bowl that was played Saturday night is they're done. There's not another one of those.
Really?
Yep, they're done with the LA Bowl.
There's no more LA Bowl?
Not coming back.
Ooh.
So, when does it become, hey, it's not worth the expense of being a bowl sponsor? When do we get to that line? How close are we there?
I think it's two ways, though. You're saying about the sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
You've also got to look at the host committees. That's got to be something, too. But the other thing is how many teams are going to stop saying, we're not. The thing that's lost about the whole Notre Dame opt-out, they probably save a whole lot of money by not going to a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
Money that they need.
Money everybody needs.
Everybody. But if Notre Dame needs it, you would think other programs would need it too. I mean, Kansas State didn't go to a bowl. Iowa State didn't go to a bowl. On and on and on.
Well, and to his point about moving some of them to, quote, exhibition or first week games, like the kickoff classic type games, how many teams are starting to try to get away from that because they want a home game?
Well, I think where your opening is, the NFL has gone to 3 preseason games. The NFL preseason ends the last Thursday and Friday. It ends the last full week, maybe the third full week of August. So you've got the last weekend in August open to yourself. That can be college football.
Mm-hmm. Should be.
Mm-hmm. If you're taking advantage.
Well, to me, I think from a fan perspective, and this is not me whining, although some will say that's me whining.
I'm saying that.
It is you're carrying it on too long. The season's lasting too long. I don't want to cut games. I'm not one of those that says cut games. I think you should condense it into a tighter window.
I agree.
Because I don't think you should go 40-some-odd days from the Sunday you announce what your playoff pairings look like until the championship. So how do you do that? How do you finish it up January the 1st or the first week of January? You play earlier in August.
Well, agreed with that. Agree there should be less bye weeks in December and that it should not be as far spread out. Agree that it should be – for another reason, too, you're hurting your own basketball product.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you get to January, don't you want to turn – because basketball is worthwhile, too.
Well, and what's one of the best things about the NCAA tournament?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. It is. You own the market for 3 weeks.
You sure
now,
do.
You're never going to completely own the market in December and the 1st of January because the NFL is playing meaningful football games right now because of playoff picture and getting ready for the playoffs. But you can play in that space in a better way than you're playing right now.
Well, I think you can set yourself up to create a differentiation to where you have your own lane.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they're all over the road. Too much, my opinion.
I agree. Should have played yesterday.
Chris in Germantown, can Mike repeat the schools that we have never played in football? We talked about this last week. I can do that. Illinois is one of them.
UTSA is not.
UTSA is not. I had that wrong. Here are the ones that Tennessee has not played. Sam Houston, San Jose State, Nevada, Eastern Michigan, Liberty, Florida Atlantic, Delaware, Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern, FIU, Texas State, Central Michigan, Missouri State, Stanford, Michigan State, Central Florida, Miami of Ohio, Toledo, Western Michigan, Jacksonville State, James Madison, Old Dominion, Boise State, San Diego State will tick Illinois off the list as of December 30th. Washington, which will come off the list in 2029. South Florida, Arizona State, Arizona, and Navy. Tennessee has never played Navy, the Naval Academy. And boy, was that wacky how they won.
Mm-hmm.
That fourth quarter was as strange as anything you'll ever see.
It was indeed. And listen, I love that game. I love everything about that game. So, but that was a wild fourth quarter for sure. And as we all look for some kind of football on Saturday.
Johnny from Nathan Robinson's hometown, Greenbrier,
Tennessee. Absolutely. Beautiful Greenbrier.
The Bobcats.
Yes, sir.
Just wonder how you felt about his development, Brent. Johnny wants to know.
He just got to stay healthy, man. That's the whole key for him. And the good news for him is he stayed healthy this year. And so healthier, yes. If he can stay healthy and have a good productive offseason, continue, I think he's going to be a big body guy in there that's going to continue to play well and do some things. I think he had a really solid year and a really nice year. I thought he stepped up in a big time way early on in the season when they were down a couple of defensive linemen in Davin Hobbs and Jackson Moy. I think Nathan had a solid year. Can he be more productive? Does he need to be more productive? Sure, he would be the first one to tell you that. But, man, there are moments where it all gets going the right way and it clicks, and he made some really good plays for Tennessee. I think the world of that kid. I think he's going to be a good player if he can stay healthy.
Get a break and back with more of your questions at 865-657-1278. This is Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's.
In Tennessee, we know the power of tradition and the energy it takes to keep it going strong. Just like the Vols fight for every yard, natural gas delivers reliable energy every single day. From heating our homes on cool fall Saturdays to fueling industries across the state, natural gas keeps Tennessee running, cleaner, stronger, and ready for the win.
Natural gas.
An unwavering supporter of the Vols for over 50 years.
UT fans know it takes teamwork to win. And when you choose Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, you get a team who served Tennesseans for 80 years. From babies to seniors, big needs to small, we offer health coverage that fits your life and your budget. All from a company right here in your community. Now that's what we call a big win. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee.
You're shopping for hard-working apparel or searching for the right ration for your cattle, Co-op is here to supply your rural lifestyle. With just the right selection of products to help round out your chore list, our family of co-ops is driven to serve everyone living in Big Orange Country, supplying essential supplies for the farm and home. Find a location near you by visiting ourcoop.com and go Co-op.
In this town, we don't just root for the team. We are the team. We rise before the sun, stay long after the lights go out. We are Big Orange Country. And with this team stands another, UT Medical Center. We heal the hurt, fuel the comeback, keep Vol Nation stronger, tougher, together, with care that never lets up. UT Medical Center, official healthcare provider of the Vols, and all of Vol Nation.
The Big Orange Rewind continues, presented by Calhoun's.
Text question for Mike in Knoxville. Would like to get your thoughts on the ranking system and how it could be changed. Does it make a lot of sense that we have the AP and coaches poll rankings all year, then rely on a committee vote from late October to December, and then revert back to AP and coaches polls for the final rankings?
Yeah, I mean, no offense to the rankings, I just don't think those two polls carry. There's fans to talk about. I mean, that's in football. That's the real only value of them is for fans to discuss them. They don't carry enough weight into anything. So, I think the bigger question is how do you fix things with the committee? How do you go about seeding this tournament moving forward? Do you seed it? Do you continue the automatic qualifiers? Do you straight seed it? What do you do when you move into your next gen, if you will, your next version of the college football playoff? How many teams are going to be in it, and then how are you going to seed it?
Could there be 16 next year?
Yeah, they will make a decision in January. That was supposed to be a December decision, first part of December. They kicked the can down the road a little further because the Big Ten introduced a 24-team option for discussion. And so we're anxiously awaiting to see what happens when the athletic directors all get together in January, along with some presidents, and see what the vote and what the decision will be moving forward in terms of the number of teams in the playoffs.
So if they're 24, then top 8 would get a bye. So 9 would play 24, 10 would play 23, so on and so forth, to get you to 16 the next weekend.
Yeah, you would play it like they play it at the the FCS level, at the what's the old Division II level play, because that's a 24.
That's it.
Yeah, that's a 24-team playoff. You would play it that way.
Okay. Do you like that?
I think it's got to be more than 12 when you have the automatic qualifiers, which include the group of 5, and it includes the Penn State caveat that they get in, because now you're at a 10-team playoff. And I think you need more than 10 to get a true champion there.
Your text questions are always welcome on the Ball Network at 865-657-1278.
Miss any of today's Rewind? Catch the full podcast with Mike Keith and Brett Hubbs. UTSports.com. We are the Vol Network. Exclusive guests, insider analysis. You know what happened. Find out why and how and what happens next. This is Big Orange Rewind.
Presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee. Grab a taste after the next Tennessee game. Calhoun's.
So glad you're with us. We appreciate all of the text questions that we get all the time on the Ball Radio Network at 865-657-1278 by Keith and Brett Hubbs for Big Orange Rewind. But remember, if you're a regular listener / viewer of the Mike Keith Show, it's the same line to send in a text question. And, oh, by the way, at 3 o'clock Eastern Time on December 30th, guess who else takes your text questions on that very number? Brent Hubbs, Jason Swain, Ramon Foster on the Ball Radio Network's Big Orange Countdown. So when you submit questions, if we don't get to them on this show, if we run out of time, then they can certainly, if they're still relevant, we could certainly answer them at another time, and we would love to do that.
Absolutely. We love the questions. And on all the formats we're on, all the shows we're on, bring us all the questions. We like questions.
We do.
Very much
all right, so here's one. Do we target a kick returner, speaking of the portal, or do we have one on the roster that's electric?
I don't know if there's one on the roster, and they're not going to go get – I don't think they're going to go get a target-specific kickoff returner, because that's a play that just is not one of great importance. It's just when you can fair catch it and start it at the 25, there's so many penalties on that play with a block in the back and things like that. Most coaches, and Josh Heupel's at the head of that list or near the head of that list, choose just to fair catch it and put it down at the 25. From a punt returner standpoint, we'll see what some guys are. I think there's somebody on the roster who can be a punt returner. I don't think they're going to go target anybody in the portal at that position.
Tyler from Bowling Green. How much do you think the contract extension for Joey Halsley and the contract extension title change for Kelsey Pope change how Josh Heupel calls plays? Or do you think Heupel completely turns over play calling to them? Now, if you're not familiar, Kelsey Pope got an extension. He is now pass game coordinator. The run game coordinator is Glenn Ellerby, right? Is that that is his? He has.
I think he officially has that. He is that. I've got to look and see if he officially has the title, but Yes, he's their run game coordinator, whether
Joey
he has the title or not.
Joey Halsley is the offensive coordinator. So all of these guys will certainly contribute, giving coaches bigger titles and expansions in that way certainly is good for their reputation. It's a big deal for recruiting. It's a big deal for them professionally. It makes sense when you give raises that you say we're going to give this guy more responsibility and more money. So all of those things factor in. A lot of people have input in Tennessee's game plan.
Yeah, and that's like that everywhere. By the way, Glenn Ellerbe does not officially have the run game coordinator title.
You told me he did.
Well, I thought he did. Well, he does, but he just doesn't have the official title. He's the run game coordinator. He just doesn't have the official title. I'm not sure why. But if you're handing out titles, he's the one running the run game. Yes, those guys, everybody in the room is contributing to the game plan. I think the question he's asking is, what does game day look like? Does this make game day look any different? Joey Halsley's calling the plays, but I think there's no way Josh Heupel is not going to have game day input and a lot of game day input on what his offense is doing from a play calling standpoint, what you're getting to in this set of downs, what you're getting to in this series, what you might check to on this particular play. I do not see Josh Heupel giving up any input in that area based on the fact that Joey Halsley got a raise.
And that the entire offensive staff is back for 2026.
All of them are coming back at this point, unless somebody takes a job elsewhere. But I think one of the reasons they wanted to get a new deal done with Kelsey Pope is he was going to have opportunities at other Power 4 schools. I think some SEC schools had some interest in him. And Joey Halsley's name had popped up a couple of different places. And by the standards in the league, Joey Halsley was underpaid compared to other offensive coordinators. So they obviously elevated him in pay. He got a substantial raise. But I don't think that lessens Josh Heupel's input and game planning, obviously, but certainly it doesn't lessen his input on game day as well.
Let's see. This is from Bill in Chattanooga. I've become good friends with Bobby Majors.
Okay, great.
Definitely should be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Agree, he's the best athlete of all of the Majors brothers. One heck of a golfer before his back started giving him major problems. My question, does Mike enjoy calling basketball or football more?
Oh.
Whoa, that took a different turn.
I like he gave you great affirmation on all of
He really did.
All your opinions
put me on the spot.
On Bobby Majors. He agreed with you on everything, and then he just dropped the hammer on the way out the door.
Love calling basketball. I love the challenge of it. I love how much I've got to learn. I love working with John Wilkerson and Chris Lofton. Being around this program is unbelievable. Now, I've called a lot more football in my life than I have basketball, so I would say I'm more comfortable calling football. But the part of being uncomfortable about calling basketball is kind of what is making it so exciting at this point.
What has been the biggest adjustment to call? You've called basketball before.
I have.
But what's been the biggest adjustment for you in basketball through the early part right here?
There's several things. The first thing is when I did the Duke game, I had not called a basketball game on radio in 33 years.
No pressure.
None.
Hey, we're going to play this little exhibition game with a team called Duke. Enjoy that.
Yeah, just let's see you. You're following Bob Kessling and Burt Bertelkamp. Don't worry, it'll be great.
Hey, it's just a little exhibition.
It'll turn out great. It'll be fantastic. I had done a lot of basketball on television, but that's quite a different beast because you have pictures. And so if you don't know something, you can rely on the pictures. Now, there is an art to calling basketball on television or any sport on television that's different. Some people are Jim Nantz and do it beautifully, and other people kind of have to struggle to figure that out. But that was what I had worked toward in the whole process. Now, we're getting really geeky here. I'm sorry. But Bill asked out of nowhere.
I asked.
Had I read that before, I would have deleted it.
No, I asked to follow up, so indulge me.
So what has been the most interesting about basketball is the level of explanation you have to give because they're obviously not pictures. So you talk a lot more. What you need in today's world to broadcast basketball in terms of the sheets that you use, the information that you actually need, very different than television. So in figuring those things out, as a nerd about all of this, and just to pull back the curtain a little bit, I love broadcasting, period. I like I'm interested in all forms of it, always have been. Even things I don't do, I'm fascinated to know how the machine works in different places. And if I corner somebody in the business, I'll start asking them about how they do the weather, and I'm fascinated by how they do it. Well, so this process for me has been so much fun to dive into this and to figure out what you need, what you don't need, how you help somebody like Chris Lofton, who's never broadcast before in his life. And then you have somebody like John Wilkerson, who's extremely experienced, how you give him enough area to talk as much as he should talk because he's really good at it. It's been a lot of fun. And again, being around this program is so much fun. Rick Barnes is the best, and these people all around the program, the assistant coaches, the administrative staff, everybody is really wonderful.
It's very human.
They're incredibly good people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think how they could have been nicer, I don't know. Because they didn't have to, they say, football guy I've done a lot of sports. I did 3 years of arena football, which is nothing like doing football. Doing arena football is more like doing basketball.
Okay.
And here's why. First down, quarterback gets sacked. Second down, quarterback gets sacked. It's 3rd and 25, and you throw a touchdown pass because field's only 50 yards long. So it's just like a possession, and every play is like a possession in basketball.
Interesting.
It's like football, like we're used to. One play builds on the next play, builds on the next play. You gain 3 yards on first down, 4 yards on second down. It's 3rd and 3. There are all kinds of different things you do on 3rd and 3. In arena football, you could have 2 horrendous plays and then score a touchdown on the next play, and it's not out of the question. So it's a lot like doing that. I mean, learning that process was fascinating. Doing high school wrestling was something I never thought. I did baseball for a long time. I did the 1995 National Indoor Paintball Championship, which is not something I ever thought I'd do. So it's been interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brett's falling asleep.
No, I was very curious to see what your challenge was in terms of what the biggest adjustment for you was moving into
and
college
they're
basketball.
different sight lines too. Because in some places you sit right on the front row. Some places you sit on the second row and people will stand up in front of you or walk in front of you. Some places you're up higher, like we were in Nashville for the Illinois game. It's very different than football where you're in a booth, and while the booth positions may change, most of the booths are about the same.
Mm-hmm.
But the positioning in basketball is a whole – so you're like, okay. I mean, people are walking in front of you. A 6'11" guy's about to check in, and he's standing up right in front of you. You can't – how do you work around that problem? Because the audience doesn't want to hear that.
Right.
I mean, you asked.
I did.
Nathan from Knoxville. If Joey Aguilar wins the lawsuit after the portal, what would his options be?
Wins the lawsuit he would have a year of eligibility. He would not be able to transfer as a graduate. He could transfer, I guess. But he would have a choice to make of whether or not he wanted to come back and play in college, provided he hadn't. Of course, I don't think it matters now that you sign with an agent. So, provided that he's not going to the combine or a part of pro day or something like that. He would have that option. I don't know that they're not going to open a separate window for those guys.
But let me ask you this.
I don't think.
Let's say he does go to the combine. He's got an agent. He already had an agent in college. That's not new.
Nobody's challenged.
Well,
that's
the point. And that's what I'm sitting here.
My wheels are spinning as you talk. It's like nobody's challenged it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to correct you. I'm just saying, but if you stop and think about it, he hasn't done anything towards being a pro at that point than what we used to consider being a pro, which is taking money and signing with an agent. He's done that anyway. That's part of the college game.
So does anybody challenge that in football? You know, basketball put that rule in that you can go basically to the tryouts and then you can pull your name out of the draft at a certain period. The NFL doesn't have that rule. So when you submit your name, you're in. I don't know when you officially submit your name for the draft. I don't know when I don't know the NFL calendar to know when that day is.
Well, in terms of early, that comes in January.
Right. So if you officially submit at that point,
you're in.
You can't withdraw.
But in his case, he's technically out of eligibility right now. Those players are not out of eligibility. They make a decision to give up their eligibility to go on.
Yeah, but is he making that decision by putting his? Does he have to put his name in as a graduate, as someone out of eligibility? Do they have to submit their name?
He does not submit a name. No.
Interesting. Nobody's challenged.
He's just available. He is a draft eligible player at that point.
Of all the things out there, it's surprising that someone who would have a potential COVID year of eligibility or something like that has never challenged that rule. I don't know. That's a good question. But, I mean, I think Joey Aguilar – I don't think Joey Aguilar is going to be back at Tennessee. I don't have any – that's just my opinion because I don't know when this lawsuit's going to go anywhere. I don't know where the juice is in the lawsuit at this point, in particular because Diego Pavia, who is the leader of the lawsuit, has made it very clear he's moving on. He's not coming back to college. So who is the catalyst to keep the lawsuit on the forefront and get it going? Is Joey Aguilar's lawyer, are they really taking it on, or is he just signed into a lawsuit that nobody's really fighting for that lawsuit at this point because Diego Pavia was the key to that lawsuit and he's no longer interested in that lawsuit because he's moving on. He's made that pretty clear.
Were you surprised that he wasn't closer to Mendoza in winning the Heisman?
Not in particular. I think the Heisman Trophy comes down to a couple of key moments. I think it's always been that way, regardless of the opponent's record. I think Mendoza's moment at Penn State, that drive, and then I think beating Ohio State the last week, that ended it at that point. I would have loved to have seen what that vote would have looked like had Ohio State won that game. But because Ohio State was, quote, number one, and you know they were the defending champs in the defense, and he goes out and Indiana wins that game. I think those two moments carried him. And listen, he went to Oregon and won. He went to Oregon and played well. I mean, he had three key moments.
And the Big Ten is going to be at a great advantage because of the markets they're in.
Mm-hmm.
All of the people who are in these markets, in terms of the big markets, are tied in to being Heisman voters, or they are certainly influencers in the race, the biggest talk shows, the biggest TV networks, all of this, because you're talking about the major cities in this country.
Mm-hmm. Here's the other thing in the Big Ten, too. Because of where the conference is right now, that Heisman candidate can have a bad day and his team still win. So he just has to capitalize on the marquee moments. And that's exactly what happened in this case here. He capitalized on the marquee moments.
And I'll say this, too. Indiana was a year ahead of Vanderbilt in their process.
Mm-hmm.
Because last year, Indiana didn't get a ton of respect because it seemed like they were a one-hit wonder. And this year, they were taken more seriously from the jump because of what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Vanderbilt didn't appear in the poll until October. They didn't really start to get a buildup until November. And Pavia had the run in November, but quite frankly, because of where Mendoza was and because of where Indiana, more so than even Mendoza was, in the process, they were going to get more of a benefit of the doubt of being real. I think as you got to the end, you're like, well, okay. And Hey, listen, Mendoza went undefeated. Vanderbilt still lost 2 games.
Well, here's the other thing, too, is it's a human vote.
Sure.
So how many people did not vote for Diego Pavia because of personality? They didn't like the personality.
Well, I mean, I think there's probably – I mean, there's always going to be some of that.
Or they didn't vote him one. They voted for him, but they didn't put him number one on their ballot.
I mean, the one thing about this is Pavia didn't get robbed.
No.
I'm just surprised it was, 900 points difference?
Yeah, it was significant.
It was not close.
No, it was not.
And many of the quote-unquote odds makers thought it would be close.
Yeah, and it was not.
No.
And again, I think it was Mendoza's moment when the stage was
Agreed.
the brightest. He showed up. Because here's the thing: you're watching on that Saturday, whatever Saturday that was in October, and you're flipping around games. And you're going, Indiana's in trouble.
Yeah,
they may lose this thing. Cinderella may lose their slipper here.
Right.
So everybody flipped their TV at the end.
That's right.
To see, and then you stayed on that. You stayed on that game to see if Indiana can pull it out. And he was terrific on that final drive.
He was. Need a haircut? With the Great Clips app, you can put your name on the list from anywhere and head to the salon when you're up next. Because getting a great haircut shouldn't mean putting your life on hold. Great Clips, it's going to be great. More of your text questions for us, 865-657-1278. Big Orange Rewind continues, presented by Calhoun's.
Big Orange Rewind on the Vol Network.
Sponsored by Food City, the official supermarket and tailgating headquarters of the Vols. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. Complete coverage for every phase of life. Alumni Hall, the ultimate volunteer shopping experience. By Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee, the official insurance of the Vols. Tennessee Insurance for Tennessee Life. Co-op, proudly supplying your rural lifestyle in Big Orange Country. And by UT Medical Center, the official healthcare provider of the Vols and all of Vol Nation.
Tennessee fans, the Vol Shop has everything you need to support the Big Orange. With a 15,000 square foot store in the Student Union and other locations on Cumberland Avenue, in the University Commons, and inside Neyland Stadium, the Vol Shop is stocked full of official gear and exclusive apparel. The Vol Shop is your go-to retailer for Tennessee merchandise. If you can't make it to campus, shop online at utvolshop.com and be sure to follow them on social media. The Vol Shop, the official campus store of the University of Tennessee.
It's football time in Tennessee, and that means it's time for Calhoun's. Whether you're headed to the game or watching from home, make Calhoun's your pregame, postgame, and every game headquarters. From hickory smoked pulled pork to the legendary ribs, juicy burgers, and mouthwatering brisket, Calhoun's delivers the flavor that fuels Big Orange fans. With 9 convenient East Tennessee locations, there's a Calhoun's near you. So gather your friends, wear your orange, and experience why they're the taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's, proud to serve ball fans since 1983.
The court is where legends are made. They embrace the insanity. They rise when the pressure is high. They leave their mark when it matters most. But legends aren't just found on the hardwood. They're in the stands, in our communities, and the ones who step up when life throws a full court press. At Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee, they're here for every game-changing moment, helping Tennesseans stay ready for whatever comes next. Tennessee Insurance for Tennessee Life. Get a free quote at FBITN.com.
Coach Caldwell, how do you keep the intensity so high for a full 40?
Well, it's like searing a certified Angus beef steak. You have to start hot and you have to finish hot.
Coach, how do you always manage to have fresh legs in the game?
Brian, it's no different than Food City's produce department. They always have the freshest produce because it's straight from the farm.
Follow-up question. What?
Look, guys, it's not rocket science. Nobody does food like Food City. Thank you, everyone. Food City, the official supermarket of the Lady Vols.
The Vol Network's Big Orange Rewind continues. Presented by Calhoun's.
Glad to have you with us. Getting a lot of great text questions on this particular program. Brent Hubbs, how about this one from Rachel? What player are you most excited about seeing play for Tennessee next year, and why?
I'm going to give you one I'm excited to see in the bowl game. because he's going to get opportunities. I'm buying stock in Rodarius Jackson.
Yes.
I am buying stock in that one right now. I think Rodarius Jackson will get ample opportunities with Chris Brazzell not being in the bowl game, and I am anxious to see what Rodarius Jackson does next year, provided he stays healthy. Everybody forgets, he missed with the collarbone deal for a good bit of this season. I think he's, when been called upon and asked him to play, Mike, he's made plays in every game he's been asked to do something. I'm big on Rodarius Jackson. I'm looking forward to seeing him. I think Marion Dye is another guy a year from now that I think is going to can be a real force for Tennessee on the defensive line as a strong side defensive end. There's some young players certainly to be excited about, but those are two guys, one on each side of the ball, that jumps out at me.
How about Braden Rouse? Can I say that?
Yeah. The incoming freshman linebacker.
The freshman linebacker from Atlanta.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what they do with Deshaun Brame on offense too.
Yeah.
Where does he what is he? Is he a tight end? Is he a hybrid? Is he Kyle Pitts? What is he?
I mean, I'll take that another way.
Okay.
What does Ethan Davis look like if he gives a whole year?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can say, argue's probably not the right word. You can make the point that nobody had a better November than Ethan Davis on the Tennessee roster.
Yeah, particularly when you talk about the second quarter at Kentucky on.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the two plays he made the end of the first half at Kentucky, which, quite frankly, seemingly came out of nowhere.
Nowhere.
I mean,
they put him back in the game to throw to him on the first one and then hit him with the second one for the score.
And from that point on, he played well.
Yeah.
He had a good close. So there's certainly some guys. What does a guy like DeJuan Morris look like in year two in this program as a playmaker, complement to Deshaun Bishop in the tailback position? Because
right.
they're very different type players, very different style of players.
But unlike last year, the majority of guys who played on offense in 2025 return in 2026.
Mm-hmm. You potentially bring, if provided some guys don't go in the portal, you potentially bring a ton of people back.
75, 80%.
And basically all of your production with the exception of Chris Brazzell.
Well, Star Thomas.
Yeah. And Kitzelman had some production there.
Oh, yeah.
But really,
in terms of numbers.
The big numbers, big production, most consistent production guy was Chris Brazzell. So lots of things. Now, the $1 million question is, what are you at quarterback? Because you can have all that production as you want to. Somebody's got to get him the ball.
Well,
what are you at quarterback?
Somebody's got to get him the ball, but, man, it sure does help.
Oh, yeah.
That the majority of the offensive line is going to, if not all of the offensive line. I mean, we'll see, but.
Right. Lance Hurd's going to go through the process with the NFL. We'll see what happens with that. But, yeah, you have a ton of pieces coming back to build around the quarterback, which is what you did not have a year ago when you brought Joey Aguilar in. You brought a quarterback in, and you're sitting here going, well, okay, wait a minute. You got 3 new pieces on the offensive line, including a new center.
4.
4 new pieces, including a center.
Yeah.
Right. Deshaun Bishop, he's going to be all right at tailback. He's proven to you that he can play, but he had not proven it.
But they're following a guy who just had the best year in Tennessee running back history.
Yeah. Your most probably proven guy coming back was Miles Kitzelman.
Right.
And so now it's like, okay, you have all this unknown and you're unknown at quarterback. Now,
good luck.
What are you going to be at quarterback, but you've got all these known parts around him that you didn't have a year ago.
And then you talk about Rodarius Jackson. I know he has only 7 catches for 72 yards. I'll buy stock in Rodarius Jackson all day long. I know all these receivers are coming. Keys and King are on the way, and you've got other guys. Dotson has a chance to step up, and Smith has – I mean, they're better at receiver in terms of on paper they have been in a while. I'll buy stock in Rodarius Jackson. I just think the dude can play.
Mm-hmm.
Period. I'm not going to say he's got Brazzell numbers or anything like that. I'm just saying I think he is a player.
There's nothing at any point in time when he played in a game did you say he was out of place.
Too big.
The moment was too big. The game was too big. It was too physical for him. At no point in time in any game that he stepped on the field did you feel that way, and that's why I'm buying stock.
I would agree. I still want to see Rouse, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because you watch his tape and you're like, ooh.
Well, what's interesting about his tape when you watch it is they play him everywhere. Which tells me he's a pretty smart football player. But that's a guy that they build a lot of things around him and turn him loose. So I am curious to see his transition to the college level and how Tennessee and Jim Knowles and this new defensive staff elect to use him. How they use him. Where does he fit in their scheme?
Yeah, and he's also not playing small ball.
No.
So I mean, he plays real competition in Georgia
every Friday night. He plays a hard schedule every Friday night.
I mean, I think he's a 4-star for a reason. You brought him up to me, and I started watching, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's different.
That was one that everybody wanted him. It came down to Tennessee and Texas. Tennessee held the lead for a long time, and it got really hairy with Texas late. And Tennessee's commitment to him, the way they recruited the entire family because they were heavily involved in the process, won out. And that was a huge win for Tennessee in the recruiting process, in the recruiting class.
Most underrated story in the last week to me, Wendell Moy made first-team all-conference. You didn't think that was?
No, I didn't. I mean, you're right. I would agree with you.
I mean, we talked about Brazel.
Mm-hmm.
And Braylon Staley's the SEC freshman of the year. But Moy had a really good year. And apparently everyone noticed.
Yes. And it appears there's a real chance he's going to be back to playing here next year in this program. I think he really likes it here. And I think he feels like another year could help him and prove his ability to play. There'll be some size concerns about him, I think, at the next level. Boy, if he could play center at the next level, I think that would help his cause a lot. But really athletic, light guy, a light on his feet guy for a guy who's that big.
Well, when he jumped into the stands,
that was different.
After a touchdown, who was that against? Was that like UAB?
Yeah, I think that was UAB. I think that's right.
I mean, a 330-pound man.
I did a double take when I saw it happen. I was like, whoa, did I just – because it wasn't one of those deals where when he jumped, everybody reached over and started grabbing and tugging, and it took 7 people to pull him in. It was like he jumped. It's like, oh, dude's right there. Like, he's there. It was pretty crazy athletic. Really was. Pretty crazy athletic move for a guy that size.
And you don't think – you do, I know. But I'm saying one would think, well, that's not something a scout would notice. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
They notice everything.
Yeah. And, I mean, if he can't play, I mean, he does not appear to have the longest arms in the history of all guards who've ever played the position. I get that. But I'm with you. You find a guy who can play football, you want to make sure he can snap.
Oh, I think so, yeah. Because they're and it's not a hiding him, but there's a place where you go, okay, he knows how to play the game. He can do everything right. The only thing working against him is maybe his reach is not right. Is not tall enough. Well, what if he puts a ball in his hand and we move him in there? Then all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I've got a center who could pull. Right. I can do some different things with him. Yeah, okay.
And he doesn't weigh 290.
No.
Because a lot of times the best centers who can do the things you're talking about weigh 285, 290.
Yep.
This guy's 330 pounds.
Yep.
So those 370-pound nose tackles are not moving him.
Well, yeah, and he has a low center of gravity,
right.
And I mean everything about him from a leverage standpoint you like. So
yeah,
I think there's a lot to like. I think he had a really good first year. I think another year in this program and this offense, he can have another stellar year. Assuming he stays healthy, because tough guy who. It's just one of those deals. He really enjoys being here. He really has – Knoxville's just fit him really well. He's a very quiet guy, but he's just been very comfortable here very early on.
And you know what else he really does enjoy? Hitting people.
Yes, he does. He does do that.
I mean, he just wants to –
and we're all for that.
I mean, if you're going to play football –
yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. You better be willing to hit, particularly if you're going to be that big and you're going to play that position, hit somebody.
Well, I mean, he really likes it. Not every big guy just is in love with it. They do it, and maybe they sort of like it, whatever. I mean, he really likes it.
Mm-hmm.
He likes it like defensive players like it.
Yeah, he's got a quiet edge to him. He's got a quiet edge to him for sure.
A break and back with more. Keep the good questions coming. We appreciate them. 865-657-1278. This is Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's. 9 area locations in Knoxville, a taste of Tennessee.
It's football time in Tennessee, and Alumni Hall is the place to gear up for your Tennessee Vols. Shop the largest and newest selection of top brands like Nike, Columbia, Peter Millar, New Era, Yeti, and more. Mix and match champion tees, 2 for $38, and spend $150 to earn $10 Hall cash for your next visit. Shop AlumniHall.com. Visit Alumni Hall in Knoxville, Murfreesboro, Bristol, or Johnson City, or download their app. Alumni Hall, the ultimate volunteer shopping destination.
Tennessee fans, your game day isn't complete without Calhoun's. Whether you're inside Neyland Stadium for the game or tailgating on campus or at home, Calhoun's has you covered with shareable small bites, family feed packs, and party platters. Imagine your tailgate piled high with hickory smoked ribs, tender pulled pork, and that famous barbecue chicken. The best of Tennessee on one plate. Call ahead or order online and make your game day legendary. Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee.
A farm, a family, and a tradition of premium fresh sausage that's lasted almost a century. Using only the freshest ingredients and finest cuts of meat for flavor that is locked in instantly. Each bite of Swaggerty's Farm sausage transports you back to a warm, cozy southern kitchen, leaving you satisfied and ready to take on the day. Swaggerty's Farm, quite possibly the best tasting sausage in America. Now available at your local retailers.
Fall fans, ready to score big on your next home? Clayton Homes, Oakwood Homes, and Love Homes are proud sponsors of Tennessee Athletics and proud to help you find your dream home. Whether you're a first-time buyer or looking for your forever home, their teams across Tennessee have your back. With 29 locations statewide and Energy Smart Homes designed for year-round savings and a lifetime of comfort, it's never been easier to make the move. Stop by today and see why so many families and Vol fans trust Clayton, Oakwood, and Love Homes to turn home ownership into a win.
This is Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's.
Brent Hubbs, Mike Keith, here every Sunday night, 6 until 8 Eastern Time. Let's get some basketball in here.
All right, let's do it.
Junior from Crossville, with Cade Phillips' season-ending injury, does that open up a roster spot that the staff can fill like they did with Vescovy?
It does not. His injury does not open a roster spot because he remains on the roster, obviously. They do have a roster spot available based on all of my research here. They have 14 scholarship players. You're allowed to have 15. So they have, quote, a spot available, but I don't see them going and getting anybody right now to come in who could, be a factor, who would learn. I mean, they've done that with a couple of guys, bring in some high school kids. They didn't work out very well, where they just brought them in at midterm and they sat and watched and went through practice and learned, and neither one of those guys stayed in the program. DJ Burns was one of them. Freddie DeLeon was the other. But I don't know of a guy that would come in and step in and would be able to help immediately.
But they theoretically could. You just feel like it's unlikely.
Correct. Yeah, they have one spot based on my math. Now, my math is not great, but based on my math, they have 14 players on scholarship, and they're allowed to have 15.
Bobby in Middle Tennessee. Cade Phillips question again. With Cade Phillips out for the rest of the season, do you think this will open up for Jalen Carey to be the starter and one of the top offensive players moving forward with his post game? Will this give more playing time to Amari Evans and Dwayne Brown moving forward? What do you see us doing differently Tuesday night against Louisville that we haven't done all year to get this win and break out of our losing streak? Bobby has a lot here.
Yeah, the Amari Evans playing the 4 which is some of the talk out there from Coach Barnes, is a really interesting thing, in my opinion, because how big of an offensive threat could he be at the 4? What does he do well at the 4? Tennessee played an undersized 4, Josiah Jordan-James, and it worked out well. What does Rick Barnes and this staff think after seeing this team play rotation-wise? What are they looking for? Do they need to open up the lane more for Jacoby? Do they need two non-traditional? Do they need to not play two traditional posts? Does that open up the floor a little bit more? Or do they go with a couple of bigger back-to-the-basket type post players and a little more old-school traditional type stuff? I don't think Ament can play the 4 defensively. I just think it's going to be hard.
I don't think you want him to.
No, and I don't think it's going to work out well. So the question becomes, do you play a smaller lineup like you've done in the past and kind of open the floor up a little bit more, or do you have some better answers, maybe offensively, to have a better flow with 2 traditional posts on the floor?
All right, so you're asking as many questions as Bobby in Middle Tennessee.
I'm sorry.
So I'll help you.
I apologize.
I think you wonder out loud. I think Amari Evans can do this because he can play defense against taller players.
Okay.
He's the one that guarded Nate Ament all summer long. That was the guy they put on him all summer long because they wanted him annoyed by somebody who can really play defense. He can really do that. He can rebound. I mean, he's 6'5", so it's not like he's 6'2". He's 6'5", so he can do that. You would still have 2 big players on the floor because you're going to have a normal-sized post, and you're going to have Ament, who, while he isn't a post, is 6'10".
Right.
You don't want Nate Ament guarding in a lot of situations where he can pick up fouls. Yeah, I mean, you don't want – he and Jacoby Gillespie do not need to pick up fouls. The nice thing about not even having Cade Phillips right now, they still have fouls down low to give, which is nice. I do think Carey is going to see more action, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dwayne Brown is not the guy who starts the game.
Okay.
Because Dwayne Brown is more like Cade Phillips than Jalen Carey is. Dwayne Brown is more like Cade Phillips than J.P. Estrella is. He is that physical sort of 6'8" presence who's just kind of all over the place. Dwayne is going to see a bigger role. And so I think the guy who gets the most pull-up in terms of minutes is going to be Dwayne because he does that dirty work. And Rick Barnes wants a guy or 2 on the floor all the time doing dirty work. Bishop Boswell, Cade Phillips, and now Dwayne. Amari can do it too, which is why I see them rotating through with that sort of look.
Do you think my thought on a little bit of a smaller 4, where you play a little more 4 out, 1 in? I don't think Carey is necessarily always your 1 in, but maybe it's Felix or whatever. Do you play that way to open the lane for dribble penetration, to give Gillespie more room to potentially finish, to give Ament more room to potentially finish in there?
Tennessee is dribbling the ball too much right now. Part of that is how compacted things are. I think what you're saying makes a ton of sense because Evans can pass, Dwayne Brown can pass, and what they want to do is they want to put Jacoby in a position that if he drives, it's 2 dribbles and the ball's up, whether that's off the glass, whether that's one of those teardrops he puts up, whether he can pull up just inside the free throw line. I mean, however, right now it's very compact.
Yeah, it feels like it's crowded, really crowded.
And I think when I watch them practice and I see what they do, they want to dribble less and pass more.
Okay.
And this bunch they're seeing coming in here Tuesday night, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Jay Williams on ESPN said earlier this year that he believes Louisville has the best backcourt in the country. And between McNeely, the transfer from Virginia, and Conwell, the transfer from Xavier, and then Mikel Brown, who, like Ament, is one of the top 10 freshmen in the country. He's a 6'5" point guard. Take Jacoby Gillespie and make him 6'5". That's Brown. I mean, they are just unbelievable. And they have two big men, Frew and Khalifa, who can pass like you wouldn't believe. I mean, it's almost like Louisville's offense, it feels like they almost, outside of just bringing the ball up the court, they almost never dribble. Everything is pass. It's fast. Their spacing is great. And then you got this Conwell who, I mean, if there's a better three-point shooter in the country, I mean, I'm sure there is. The kid at Belmont probably is. But, I mean, there aren't 5 guys who can shoot it better than Conwell.
Yeah, they're fun to watch on offense.
Oh.
Now. It's efficient. It's a pretty brand of basketball because it's moving, man. It does not get stuck. That
Tennessee,
ball does not
did
get
you
stuck.
see him against Memphis at all?
Yeah, it doesn't get stuck.
I know you were upset there was no football on, but there was basketball.
I know. And I like basketball. I'm just saying it should have been football.
Memphis was never in that game.
Well, they never had any kind of comfort on the defensive end of the floor. They just get carved up.
Well, because what happened was Louisville so took over the game because they can go on these massive runs because they can drive it. They can get the twos and they can shoot the threes. They shoot 35 threes a game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that ball is going up, and Conwell will shoot it. Dude, I mean, you got 6'10" guy in his face. I mean, it's going up, man. I mean, this is his 4th school. I mean, he's a professional college basketball player.
Right.
He's something else. And Tennessee, if Tennessee's going to have a chance to win this game, they're going to have to get in Louisville's dish.
Oh, yeah.
That's what Arkansas did. Arkansas got in their dish and made everything hard, and yet they still had to fight them off at the end in Fayetteville. And Arkansas is really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whew.
It's a challenge.
Again,
Tennessee's got to be physical. The game's got to be allowed to be played physical because Tennessee's defensive physicality is going to have an effect on Louisville's offense.
Got to. And you've got to keep up the intensity. And listen, I know Louisville's going to make some shots and they're going to do some things. But, I mean, if you have one of those – you can't have the 11-minute stretch they had in Nashville.
No.
Where it's your game, you're playing your kind of game, you're doing your thing, and then for 5-6 minutes you just fade away. I mean, this bunch will go 20-0 on you.
And you better be ready to use a timeout too.
Yeah.
Stop a run. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You got to understand it's that kind of game is what I'm saying. You don't necessarily say, well, we'll just keep playing through it, because if you keep trying to play through it, and let them play through it, they might run you, because by the time it gets you to the point you can play through it, you finish it out.
I want to see this crowd too at Food City Center.
Been a while since we got basketball. Although we had basketball there today. Congratulations to Kim Caldwell's team in a rout today.
112-40 over Winthrop.
Yep.
But
to your point, it's been a minute.
The crowd is going to have to be as good as Arkansas's was.
Mm-hmm.
A break. Back with more. So glad you're with us. Enjoying this show very much. This is Big Orange Rewind presented by Calhoun's.
Today's Big Orange Rewind, sponsored by
First Horizon Bank, Big Bank Solutions, Small Bank Spirit, the official bank of the Vols. Swaggerty's Farm Sausage, quite possibly the best tasting sausage in America. By the Tennessee Fund. Join the My All campaign today at IWillGiveMyAll.com. Rackley Roofing, the official roofer of the Vols. And by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of the Tennessee Volunteers.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit RJV Kubota locally in Knoxville or Nashville. RJV Kubota, a proud supporter of the Vols.
It's football time in Tennessee, and that means it's time for Calhoun's. Whether you're headed to the game or watching from home, make Calhoun's your pregame, postgame, and every game headquarters. From hickory smoked pulled pork to the legendary ribs, juicy burgers, and mouthwatering brisket, Calhoun's delivers the flavor that fuels Big Orange fans. With 9 convenient East Tennessee locations, there's a Calhoun's near you. So gather your friends, wear your orange, and experience why they're the taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's, proud to serve Vol fans since 1983.
Vol Nation, if you're looking for quality performance apparel, look no further than Turtleson. Founded by UT alumni out of Bristol, Tennessee, Turtleson designs clothes and accessories that fit your lifestyle. From the office to the country club or the Tennessee Volunteers tailgate, Turtleson has the apparel that looks as good as it feels. Ask for Turtleson wherever you buy your volunteer gear or visit turtleson.com to learn more. Turtleson is a proud sponsor of the Vol Network. Go Vols!
From the practice court to the fourth quarter, our attitude is always the same. Confidence and commitment can easily turn dreams into reality. Where there's a dream, there's a way. And that's First Horizon's philosophy. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. That's First Horizon. Over 160 years of banking based right here in the Volunteer State. It's no wonder First Horizon is the official bank of Lady Vol basketball.
Week ahead. The final analysis on this week. Big Orange Rewind. Presented by Calhoun's.
This season, enjoy and celebrate with the great refreshing beverages that support University of Tennessee athletics. Light and crisp, truly hard seltzer. Twisted tea, real brewed iced tea with a twist of lemon. Modelo, brewed for full-time Vol fans. Coors Light, choose chill. And Vol Lager from Yeehaw Brewing Company. Distributed across the Volunteer State by Cherokee Distributing. Remember, celebrate responsibly, and 21 means 21. All right, so here's another question from the text line. Hey, Mike and Brent, Sean from Alcoa. My question is, if a college team opts to back out of the bowl game they've been invited to, could another college team ask to get in that particular bowl game because it could be a better bowl for them? I'll kind of hang back and listen to the answer. Thank you, guys. Love you all.
I mean, it's the bowl selection in terms of who they go get afterward. You know, when the team that they wanted doesn't elect to be in that bowl game, and they go find the best opponent that they can find who's not tied into another bowl game through their conference. And that's part of the challenge, is the conferences that have all these bowl tie-ins. So you can't just go get who you want from a conference, and somebody in the SEC can't say, hey, I don't want to go to Charlotte or Nashville or wherever. I want to go to Orlando for the Pop-Tarts Bowl. You can't just make that distinction or that decision because the league has the bowl tie-ins that they have.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Wow.
I appreciate that. How kind of you.
Wow.
How kind of you for a little affirmation there.
Rachel from Chesapeake, Virginia. How are we in terms of injuries? Are there players out for the bowl game because of injuries?
Jackson Moy, who I don't know if he was going to play in the bowl game anyway, but looking at his graduation pictures from walking the stage on Friday, still in an arm sling. That shoulder's not very good. I don't think Wendell will play in the bowl game. I would be surprised if he's available in the bowl game, given the way he left the field on in that regular season finale against Vanderbilt. We'll see what Kitzelman does. I don't know if Kitzelman's going to want to play. If he does try to play, we'll see what that looks like. A couple other guys are banged up that have been kind of fighting through it. Jordan Ross has had a hamstring that's bothered him on and off for weeks. Joshua Joseph's been battling a little bit of a back problem, but he's played through it. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what the time off does for some of those guys.
And waiting on some of the guys to turn pro or not. And potentially people may opt out because they're going to enter the portal or not. We don't know. And, We'll probably find out more about that, you would think, during the course of this week.
Yeah, I would think late in the week. I would think sometime after Wednesday we'll have a better idea of what the roster is really going to look like.
And Coach Heupel is speaking later in the week.
Yeah, I think right now maybe Thursday is kind of the tentative plan for him, is to speak on Thursday.
And they will practice here through next Sunday or Monday?
I guess that's right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then they reassemble in Nashville.
Christmas night.
Practice on the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, game on the 30th at 5:30 Eastern.
That is correct.
And you'll be able to hear it right here on the Ball Radio Network.
You absolutely will. With you on the call.
Well, thank you, Brent. I appreciate that. With you and Jason Swain and Ramon Foster starting off our coverage with Larry Stone at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 o'clock Central Time.
From Nissan Stadium for the Big Orange Countdown.
Big Orange Countdown, MusicCityBowl.com, the best way to get tickets. See you there.
Big Orange Rewind.
Presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's is the perfect place to rewind after every Tennessee game.
Rewind one more time to this weekend's action. Catch the podcast at utsports.com. Big Orange Rewind. We are the Vol Network.